Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business and let's wake up the football gods here. Wake up this morning, guys. And it is hump day. It is the middle of the week, and tomorrow night we have football. The Eagles versus, ooh, the Packers in Lambeau Field. It's chance to find out, are the Green Bay Packers everything that we think they are with that defense and the new look Aaron Rodgers, or is it just that they ended up having that early season in September? What I always tell everybody is don't get too excited by what you see in September. You really don't know what the teams are till really you get to October. And that is the truth. I feel great about what our team has done thus far, but let's be honest. We played Merry Sisters of the Poor teams thus far. And we've done what we were supposed to do to those teams, and that is blow them out. But now we've got a real test, and now is the time when you start really seeing what teams are really about going into the NFL by week 4 and 5. And playing against New Orleans is not going to be easy at all. New Orleans is going to be a real test because playing in the Mercedes Benz Dome is always hell. And New Orleans, even without Drew Brees, is still a great team. Now, let me go ahead and give you this clip real quick here with first things first. He'll kind of give you a little bit of a preview.
Both sides of the ball, not just Saints offense. Obviously, without Drew Brees, the Saints offense is not the same. But you still have Alvin Kamara, still going to be a hell of a test for that great Cowboys linebacking core. You still have what I would consider your first true road game of the year. Dallas playing against Washington with that beaten down fan base. I would watch that game. That was about 40% Cowboy fans. That will not be the case in New Orleans. Superdome going to be fired up. But I'm more concerned for Dallas on the other side. Drew Brees doesn't play D-line. No matter who plays quarterback for the Saints, this defense is going to be the toughest test Dallas has faced by an enormous margin. When you play the Giants, Washington, and Miami, one of the reasons Dak has looked so great is because he's been so clean, he's had so much time, and he's been able to go through his progressions. The Saints will be the toughest pass rush this Cowboys team has faced by a wide margin. The Giants got no pass rush, the Dolphins don't have much of anything, and Washington doesn't have pass rush right now. So how will Dallas offset legitimate crowd noise for Dak to operate their offense, a legitimate pass rush for the first time? Because, as Jerry alluded to, the Saints are going to find a way to manufacture some offense. Now, I don't think they're going to have a defensive and a special team score this week the way they did against Seattle, but that was on the road in Seattle as opposed to at home at the Superdome. So this is the Cowboys' toughest game of the year by an enormous margin, even though Drew Brees is not playing for the Saints this week.
Which is all 100% right. You cannot dispute that in any stretch of the imagination. This will be a tough. I mean, let's face it. When I was in Washington last weekend, we were packed. I mean, how many times do you have 400 people at a tailgate on an away game? And that's the kind of thing that we had there. It was a sea of blue. And the Redskins will never be mistaken for New Orleans, not by the smallest imagination. But New Orleans definitely has a better defense, although as we go through the numbers, now understand that they played the Texans, the Rams, and Seattle, all three playoff teams last year. They are still doing really, really well. Now, here's the thing. That defense has given up 905 yards passing, 7.7 yards per completion. Run, they have given up 404 yards, 5.1 yards per game. Now, you can look and say the Rams, of course, have Todd Gurley, which is a great running back. But for the most part, you kind of look at that and say, 5.1 yards. They're being eaten up on the ground. And also, too, giving up 300 yards passing per game. Well, I mean, again, it's Deshaun Watson, it's Jared Goff, and it, of course, is, Russell Wilson. So you're looking at him playing at really good quarterbacks. But this defense has been more bend, don't break, although they've given up 28, 27, and 27 points. Now, this is going to be where we find out, is our offensive line really back from 2016? because we were looking at this offensive line that has kept Dak Prescott completely clean. You've looked at Tyron Smith having 100 graded last week. You've been looking at La'el Collins looking like a totally different player since he's gotten paid. And you've been seeing Zeke Elliott eating early and often, but not quite as much. He's kind of taking bigger portions at each meal, but taking less meals, and even having Tony Pollard. So we'll see if this is, in fact, really as good as we believe the offense is. Now, another thing that they ended up doing on First Things First is Nick was saying that somebody had said that the Dallas Cowboys, they expect to see the Dallas Cowboys regress from where they are right now. Well, that's a pretty easy statement to say because when you play the three worst teams in the NFL, and play damn near perfect. In fact, one game Dak Prescott was perfect. Um, you don't have anywhere to go but down. And as you start facing the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the New Orleans Saints, yes, you are going to come back down to earth some more. So it's not like that's a big surprise. The question is how many wins do you ultimately put together? I've never said that the Dallas Cowboys are going to go 16-0, and I would be the first one to say that anybody that says that is nuts. My season prediction was 11-5, and I stick by that. There's going to be some tough games. There's going to be some games where you have a turnover that might be a pop up, pick six, where there might be receiver goes in one direction, the quarterback thinks he's going to another. There might be some times when the defense just ends up not covering the right guy and the field is wide open. There's going to be some games where the officials make some bad calls. That's the nature of football. And understand football is a week to week league because you can be in the penthouse this week and be in the outhouse next week. That's just the nature of the beast. But what I will say about the Dallas Cowboys and the thing that I've been pressing and looking back at past years is when you look at the 2017 season, everybody will say Zeke Elliott was the problem, that we lost him for 6 games, but we were still 3-3 without him. The bigger problem was not only losing Zeke, but it was also losing Tyron Smith and losing Sean Lee without having capable backups to take those places. That's where the Dallas Cowboys have changed. They've evolved. They have got more depth. And unlike what you heard about the Eagles, where they said they've got tons and tons of depth, well, their depth right now is being questioned. But when we look at our offensive line, we've got one of the best offensive lines in football with Tyron Smith, with Zach Martin, with Travis Frederick, with Connor Williams, and with La'el Collins. But Joe Looney could be starting someplace. Cam Fleming has started other places. Xavier Salafalo, he can be starting places. So when you lose a starter, you are not just dropping off the face of the earth. And the same can now be said now that we have Zeke Elliott with Tony Pollard. Zeke Elliott, hopefully we'll keep him around. He had 19 carries last week for 125 yards. You'd love to see that. It's going to keep less wear and tear on him. It's going to enable him to be able to play better later in the season. So this team can withstand better than most teams some injuries anywhere but the quarterback. And hopefully that depth will help them in the long run win enough games to make the playoffs and maybe make a game or two at home or more. So we'll have to wait and see how all that goes. But, forget this, that the Cowboys are favored by 3, that it's going to be a pushover. New Orleans defense is bend, don't break. And they're very opportunistic. They look for takeaways. They look at getting a short field for their offense. And their special teams have been playing lights out. And don't forget that Who Dat Nation down there, okay? They're going to be in there loud and proud because you're facing America's team. And understand that everybody out there, everybody wants to beat the Dallas Cowboys. So there's that. But hopefully this test will be the first of many that the Dallas Cowboys face and succeed on, and we'll just have to go from there. We'll see where it goes. And with that being said, well, I got to go ahead and get to my day job because, well, I got to have a day job to pay the bills. But I hope you guys all have a great hump day. And Eagle fans, dudes, take it easy, man. Stop being so salty. You got a Super Bowl just 2 years ago, all right? regardless of what you guys thought, that you guys were going to be a great team for the next 10 years. Understand, look at the Atlanta Falcons, who were in the Super Bowl the year before you. They're talking about firing their coach. It's the natural progression of things. You can't stay on the top forever. So relax, enjoy the season, and stop being so damn rude, man. Damn. I'll see you guys later.